What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some interesting information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with more rumors and more talk of a Nintendo Direct, but this one's a little bit complex. So there is a leaker that's been known to throw out some accurate predictions out there, and that is King Zell. And I've watched a couple of different videos and different postings from various places that King Zell has stated a few different things when it comes to a Nintendo Direct. So let's go ahead and break it down here. First, what I heard that he has to say here, then also what I checked with a couple of my sources as well. So I watched a video from Switch Force, shoutouts to Switch Force out there, and they talked about King Zell talk about a general Nintendo Direct, and also there was Nintendo Soup. They wrote an article on it, although anytime that I clicked on it, it seemed like they deleted it or whatever the case was. But I also saw it from my boy VG Mobster on Twitter as well, so it's been circulated just a little bit. Hasn't picked up as much just because I think the whole morale and the temperature of Nintendo Directs right now are at an all-time low, considering how long it's been since we've had a general Direct. But anyway, basically what King Zell, what was being implied, that there would be some type of normal or general Direct this August, and before then there would be some type of Nintendo Direct Mini or a partner showcase or treehouse gameplay, some type of stop in between that. And when I watched the video from Switch Force and when I read the article originally on Nintendo Soup, that's kind of what was going on there. However, I did check with a couple sources that I do have, and it does seem like that might not necessarily be the case, that there will be some type of presentation or something like that in August. So that would be coming up pretty soon here. We're almost in August, but it's not going to be a general Direct. It's just going to be like one type of show, which would be like a Nintendo Direct Mini or a partner Nintendo Direct. It does seem like it's kind of up in the air at this point, right? I would expect Nintendo to actually do some type of partner showcase or Nintendo Direct Mini in August or September, considering that they said in the last Nintendo Direct partner showcase that they will have more. They will have more of these. It was the first in a series. So if they're going to announce that it's the first in a series, probably it's not going to be too long before the next part in that series does come. So I would expect it to be sometime in August or so that we get another one of these Nintendo Direct Mini partner showcases, and maybe they go over Bayonetta 3, or maybe they go over No More Heroes 3, or maybe they go over Bravely Default 2, something that's going to be launching this holiday if any of those games do make it, which we do know that No More Heroes 3 and also Bravely Default 2, those have been dated for 2020, but no exact, or more like windowed for 2020, but no exact launch date, whereas Bayonetta 3 has not been dated at all. Just been, hey, Bayonetta 3 is in development, but Hideki Kamiya has stated multiple times that, hey, development is going well, everything's fine, like, don't worry about it, the game's still in development, it's not canceled, whatever the case is. So maybe he gets one of those partner Direct Minis pretty soon here, and maybe we get a solid release date for that game or release window for it. So that's kind of my thoughts on Nintendo Direct so far, guys. I know a lot of you guys are a little bit anxious when it comes down to it and want to know like the next information. I get asked about it quite a bit on social media and also on my live streams, but that's pretty much what I know for right now. So what are you guys' thoughts on this information here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. This is something that I haven't really talked about too much. I tried to like avoid talking about it, but at some point we have to discuss it, right? And that is the Eiyuden Chronicle Kickstarter, which is the developers of the Suikoden games. I mean, like, they are pretty much all of them, not I guess like the whole team, but a lot of them that worked on those legendary games. They're making this new game, Eiyuden Chronicle, and I'm hoping that I'm saying it right, but either way, they're making this, and they had a Kickstarter, and I wasn't like really high on it when the Kickstarter first came out, just because you guys know how Kickstarters are, right? I mean, Kickstarters, there's just been a lot of issues, and I've backed a number of Kickstarters, and while the games have been okay when they release or when I play them, they've never been up to what maybe the grandeur of what the Kickstarters were saying, and sometimes it takes a lot longer. There was issues. I mean, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night for me was like the straw that broke the camel's back with me and Kickstarter's like, okay, I'm not going to be funding these anymore, not going to be talking about them like crazy. When the game comes out or when it's ready to come out, and if the Switch version's good or if all the versions are good, then okay, then it's going to get its praise, it's going to get its time, it's going to get its review, whatever the case is, because I learned my lesson with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So I didn't want to talk about it too much. However, this game, Eiyuden Chronicle, has been fastly rising up the, I would just say, support chart here. But there was a very interesting thing that they talked about when it comes to this game, because this is a PS5 and Xbox Series X game, PC as well. So they're going for the higher end systems. They are not going for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, because those systems are pretty much on their way out, and this game's going to take at least a couple more years to make at the minimum. And you know how development is. Something might come up and it might delay it a year. We saw that with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. We've seen it with multiple Kickstarter games out there, you know. So I'm just kind of like, all right, well, let's see what happens here. But either way, they're going with PS5 and the Xbox Series X, right? And then they said Nintendo Switch, but they said, but there's a caveat though, because the Nintendo Switch in a couple years, or however many years when this game comes out, that system might not be relevant anymore, and there might be a Nintendo Switch 2 or the next Nintendo system. So what they did is that they dedicated I would just say a block saying like, hey, we'll put it out on Switch, we'll take the work to put it out on there, or what we'll do is we'll put it on the next Nintendo system. So that sparked the talk of a next generation Switch, a Switch 2, or whatever you want to call it, Switch Pro, whatever the next Switch is going to be, the Super Switch, right? So that sparked that conversation once again. And the reasoning behind that is because with the Switch at this point, since it's ARM and obviously the Tegra mobile architecture and everything like that, you have to pretty much kind of rewrite code and kind of build a different type of game than you would build on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, even though this game isn't going to be a huge, massive AAA type of game. It almost looks like Octopath Traveler, but still the high quality assets and everything are going to be differently built across those two systems just because of how they work on the architecture. So they're saying, hey, if there is a higher spec system out there from Nintendo that we can get higher quality assets or whatever the case is, so we have to do less work or it's easier for us, then we're going to support that system instead. But if the Switch is still around and kicking or whatever the case is, then fine, we'll put it on there, we'll do the work. But if we can't, we'll definitely refund everybody who funded it on there. So they're giving you a guarantee that, hey, if there is no Nintendo version, so even if they, let's just say there's a Switch 2 and they don't put it on there and they don't put it on Switch either, you'll get your money back if you fund it. So they want to have your confidence that no matter what, if you're a Nintendo fan, even if you don't get, the game, you're still going to get your money back. So it seems like they're trying to win our confidence that way, because we've had a number of games before, like Project Cars being funded, by Wii U dudes out there and other people, of course, too. But Wii U owners were funding that game and they never got the game Project Cars at all. That was a whole big debacle. So I think that's good that they're doing that. I do think that in the next 2 or 3 years, we are going to see a next generation Nintendo Switch. We are going to see Nintendo announce something. Nintendo said recently that they're about halfway through the life cycle. So if you think about it, 2 years from now and halfway through, obviously that next system is going to be on the horizon in like 2022 or 2023, which isn't too far away at this point. You have to remember that the Switch has already completed its 3rd year and it's going into its 4th year by March of 2021, which we are going straight through the horrible year that is 2020. We're getting through it though. We're almost in August, so we're more than halfway done. So things are kind of rising fast. Now, Nintendo recently also had a 800 million R&D type of project that went down investment. So I'm probably thinking that, yeah, that's when that Tegra chip and that's when that Nintendo brain trust, they're working together to develop some type of next generation chip, some type of custom architecture and chip that's going to be working with the Switch 2. And I'm just guessing that this game, Eiyuden Chronicle, is probably going to end up on the Switch 2 or whatever's next on there, just so they can probably get a more evenly split type of development for this game and they don't have to rework a lot of things. I think Nintendo would probably want it on their next one too, but I also think that Nintendo is going to make sure that they get the most out of the Switch. But that's just my thought process when it comes down to it. Now for me, I'm still kind of taking a wait and see approach. I want to see how this game turns out. Like, I like Suikoden, I like the game, I think it's cool and everything, but I want to see how this turns out, before I sit there and say this is going to be amazing and hype it up and all that, just because been burned a couple times on Kickstarter. So we'll see how it works. But so far, it's looking pretty good. They have a lot of heroes. The game looks great graphically. So we'll see how it ultimately ends up playing. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes to it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys. We're going to discuss Gabe Newell and what he had to say recently and how it kind of ruffled a few feathers over there on Twitter. I was on Nebellion's Twitter page. Shout out to Nebellion. Great Twitter poster, news reporter, and everything. And there was a recent article, or more like video, of Gabe Newell on some type of show, and he was asked a question about what is the better system with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip for you guys, and then you guys can see what his answer was.
This Christmas, PlayStation and Xbox are both coming out with new consoles. Which is better?
The Xbox.
Really?
Why?
Because it is.
Because you used to work for Microsoft?
I don't have a stake in that race. So obviously we do most of our development on personal computers. So, but of the two, I would definitely go with an Xbox.
So yeah, flat out just says Xbox Series X because of his reasons. He doesn't really have any reason for it outside of just because of reasons. But you know Gabe Newell, obviously, he's a big like tech guy. He knows what he's talking about when it comes down to it. I mean, he's done this before with Xbox 360 versus PlayStation 3. And it seems like he's doing it again with the Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. And I'm guessing because the Xbox Series X is just so much more like a PC with Windows and stuff like that, very similar to what he's doing over there at Steam, although he did say that they don't have like a horse in the race or whatever the case is, right? So I mean, it is what it is there. But I think the funnier thing with this is like, I was just like, all right, no problem. Heck, even if he included Nintendo in there and he just said, oh, not Nintendo and more like this, I would have been like, all right, cool, whatever the case is, right? But man, people on Twitter seem to not take too kindly to him saying that, posting all different types of memes with that dude from like Halo and saying graphics this and 12 teraflops and mocking the Xbox Series X and everything. And I just found it funny that people got so mad about his simple opinion when you know he's a PC guy, and the Xbox Series X is definitely like just like a PC tower. And you know, so it's just pretty much goes hand in hand with that. Microsoft has been working pretty much like a PC for a while now with the operating systems and what they're doing. So I mean, I don't know. I don't really see the issue to be mad here, regardless what it was, but it seems like people got really pissy about that on Twitter. So I'll let you guys check out some of the responses there when it comes down to it. So what are you guys' thoughts on what Gabe had to say here? In addition to everything else that we talked about, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.